Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about blush. I have been loving blush so much, especially over the last few months. Over the years, I've kind of gone back and forth about whether or not blush was a staple part of my routine, but this past year, I just cannot get enough of it, especially a good glowy blush. Pretty much all of the blushes in my collection are glowy formulas. I rarely reach for a matte blush, so today I wanted to sit down and share all of my favorite glowy blush options. I have 15 different formulas to talk about in today's video. Everything from like $4 drugstore blushes up to high-end blushes that I think are worth the splurge. And if you like more of a naturally luminous look, I definitely have great options for you. Or if you like a really intense, radiant, almost like blush highlighter hybrid, I definitely have some great options for you too. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you love blush as much as me, please let me know, what is your #1 formula? I feel like there are so many good formulas out there that I haven't tried and I just can't get enough of it lately. So please let me know if there are any that I'm missing in today's video. But let's jump into it and I'll kick it off with a couple of blush duos. The first one I want to share with you guys is a little bit of a newer addition to my collection, but it is the perfect option on days when I want more of a natural glow. Not anything too over the top. This is the Patrick Ta Double Take Cream and Powder Blush, and I have the shade So L.A. The reason why I like this duo and a couple of other duos that I'm going to share with you guys is because you do get two options, so you can use each side alone or layer them together and get more of a customized look. So this is really great because the powder is really pretty on its own. It's very soft. It's not quite as glowy as the cream, but you get a little bit of a sheen, but you really get the glow when you layer the cream on top. I would have never thought to go in with the powder then the cream, but I was watching a tutorial on Patrick Ta's Instagram, and he says he recommends using the powder first and then the cream. The cream really does add a really pretty, natural, dewy look to the cheeks. It's not too over the top or overly luminous. It just gives you a very soft, subtle glow. So I do have this on my cheeks today. This blush is also buildable, so you can go in with a little bit more to get more of a pigmented look if that's something you want to do too. And like I said, you can use the two sides separately. I definitely plan on picking up more of these. They have some really gorgeous, bright, colorful shades. They have some other nudes, but this one is definitely one of my staples. It's one of my most worn blushes lately, especially for everyday wear because it looks so natural on the skin. Now, if natural is not what you're going for and you want a super intense glow, then I definitely recommend the Melt Cosmetics Digital Dust Duo Blushes. I do have two of these and these are so gorgeous on the skin. They really are like blush highlighter hybrids. The texture of this product is so nice. In fact, if you deal with a lot of texture on your skin and you find that glowy blushes tend to enhance that texture, try this formula because it's a very silky, smooth, creamy powder that just melts into the skin in such a pretty way. And again, these look very glowy on the cheeks. I love using them as blushes, but I know some people like to use these as highlighters, so you can kind of use them in a way that works well for you. I have the duo Queen Bee, which sometimes I'll use as like a bronzer blush highlighter hybrid on days where I don't want to take the time to apply 3 different products. These duos are nice because the formula is the same on both sides, so no matter what you do, you're going to get a glowy look, but you can go in with one shade, mix them together, and again, it just looks so good on the skin. This is one of the best blush formulas I've tried, but again, these are very, very glowy. So if you want the most glowy blush out there, this is a great option. I know the CoverFx blush duos were popular years ago, but I still love them. I still think they're a great option if you do like a glowy blush. And what's nice about these is you can definitely get a matte look as well because one side is completely matte, one side is glowy. So you can go in with either one, mix them together. You can also layer them, which is what I typically like to do with this formula. So I'll go in with the matte blush and then I'll take another brush and really layer the shimmer blush on top in certain areas. So it kind of depends where I want that glow or I want that highlighted look, but I find that that is such a nice way to use these duos. But of course, you can just take your brush and dip back and forth and get more of a hybrid formula as well. And I think that these are so good. There's a reason why they were hyped up. They're so pretty on the skin. So if you've been thinking about these, I do recommend trying them out. My most worn shades are Soft Peach and then also Warm Honey. Warm Honey is a little bit deeper. This is something I tend to reach for more so during the fall, but it is an absolutely gorgeous option. And they also have bronzer duos that are the same formula. Now, if you don't want to spend that much on a blush, I totally get it. These blush duos from e.l.f. are really great and they're $4. I think they were meant to be a dupe for the CoverFx blushes. The formula is not exactly the same, but they're a good alternative and they're a lot more affordable. They actually have a good selection of shades. They have some lighter, softer shades, some deeper shades as well. I'll share two of my favorites with you guys in this video, but again, you get a matte side and a shimmer side. Typically what I'll do is just kind of dip back and forth between the two and blend them on the cheeks as one color. The glowy side does look more like a true highlighter, so sometimes I'll just use the matte blush and then layer the highlighter on top as well. I think that these stay in place on the skin really well. I have very, very oily skin, and I've never had an issue with these completely fading off by the end of the day. So I personally love these. I think they're nice and small and compact. You can throw them in your makeup bag. I haven't had an issue with any of these breaking. Sometimes the bite-sized eyeshadows will break on me if I have them in a makeup bag, but these seem to be a little bit more sturdy. So again, just a really nice affordable option if you're looking for something less expensive than the other three I just shared. So those are all of the duos I wanted to share with you, but I have other powder options. I also have some cream options. So let me stick with powder and then I'll share creams at the end. This one is a little bit newer to my collection as well. It's the Bare Minerals Blonzer. I finally picked it up because I wanted to see what all the hype was about. I feel like people talked about this so much, and then I don't know if they were out of stock and they restocked them or they came out with additional shades, but I did see it on Sephora's website, so I picked up the shade Kiss of Copper, and I love it so much that I actually ordered Kiss of Pink. And I feel like that's rare for me because I don't typically just run out and buy a ton of blush. I feel like I have to really fall in love with the formula to immediately order another shade. But I have worn this so much since I got it, and I just can't get enough of it. First of all, the color is so pretty. It's really flattering. This is not a shade that I would have reached for even probably like a year ago because I would have been a little bit too intimidated by it, but I think it looks really nice. This really does give you that, like, I've just been out in the sun all day sort of look. It is so pretty, and I can't get enough of it. So I'll typically take this like right under my eye, all the way up around my cheek, and use it where I would apply blush and bronzer as a whole. I'll just layer it up, and I have a video where I was using this. If you guys want to check it out, I'll link it below. This gives your cheeks such a gorgeous luminous glow. It doesn't look shimmery or glittery. It really just makes your cheeks look naturally glowy, which I love, but it's a little bit more intense than like the Patrick Ta blush. So I love this so much. I think it is a beautiful formula. The packaging is a little cheap for the price point, but I do think the formula makes up for it. I can't stop using it. When Bare Minerals first came out with their blonzers, I actually thought of this product from Essence, and they didn't market it as a blonzer, but that's kind of the way that I used it. It is the blush in the shade Bespoke. So they have a couple of different shades in the line. I know some of them are glowy, some of them are matte, so you might want to actually pick this one up in store, but this one is a gorgeous glowy option. And on days where I don't want to apply a blush and a bronzer, I'll just reach for this because I can get like that warmed up glowy look. And again, this one has a really nice luminous finish to it. It makes your skin look amazing. It's a $4 blush. It is so smooth, so easy to work with, and I just think that it is such a hidden gem. If you guys haven't tried this formula yet and you like powder blushes, this is definitely worth picking up. Again, they do have a couple of different shades. I just don't know off the top of my head which ones are glowy and which ones are matte. So if you guys have them in your collection, please let us know in the comments because there are some deeper shades. There are also some pink tones, but this is definitely my favorite out of the line. This formula from Buxom is actually very similar to this Essence formula, but they do have better shade options, and I find that these last longer on the skin. These are the Buxom Wanderlust Primer Infused Blushes. In fact, the shade Seychelles is pretty much the exact same as the shade Bespoke from Essence. This one's Essence, this one is Buxom. On the cheeks, they really don't look any different. Seychelles is one of my favorites. This one is actually new because my other one got really old and very textured. And a lot of you guys told me that's actually what has happened to your blush as well. I wasn't sure if it expired, but I feel like there's just kind of an odd texture to this blush, but it looks so good on the skin. These are definitely naturally radiant blushes. I also have the shade Dolly, and the reason why I like these is because they give your skin that natural glow. They're not too over the top, they're not shimmery. It's weird because when you swatch them, they almost look shimmery, and in the pan, they kind of look matte. So they're just an interesting formula. As you apply them to the cheeks, they look so good. They really do almost give you like an airbrush finish. When I did my sister's makeup for her wedding last year, I actually used this on her skin, and she already has amazing skin, but it just kind of made everything look super smooth, and like the blush was a little bit more natural rather than you were wearing a blush on top of your skin. I of course recommend these because they're very glowy, but the quality is so good. They market them as primer infused blushes, which I definitely think is true because not only do they apply really well, they're very smooth, very even, they stay in place extremely well, and they have a good shade selection. They're buildable, they're pigmented. one of the best blush lines out there. Recently, I picked up this one from Persona Cosmetics. I feel like I keep saying that, like recently I grabbed this one, recently I picked up this one, but I really have been on such a blush kick. This is their Super Blush in the shade Georgia. So they actually have 4 different shades. Why didn't I try this sooner? This is so gorgeous on the cheeks. First of all, I love this color, especially for spring and summer. It's so bright, so pretty, but again, it's very, very similar to the Buxom formula, kind of similar to the Bare Minerals formula. It gives your cheeks that really pretty, naturally luminous glow. None of these 4 formulas that I'm sharing with you right now are over the top. I would say the most glowy is the Bare Minerals, but these just all kind of melt into the skin in a really natural way, especially for a powder blush. Like sometimes with powder blushes, they sit on top of the skin, they look dry, they enhance texture. None of these formulas do that. They all melt into the skin in a really pretty soft way. So let me switch gears and talk about a few of my favorite cream blushes, and then I'll finish up with some baked formulas. In general, I feel like cream blushes do look very glowy on the skin because of their finish. They tend to look more dewy overall, but there are a few that I really love. I tried the Flower Beauty blush bombs a few years ago, and they're so interesting. These are definitely the most unique blushes I have in my collection. So I will swatch 2 of my favorite shades for you. These are more of a gel cream hybrid. These look very luminous on the skin. They almost give your skin a wet, dewy look, especially if you don't have to set them into place. I do have oily skin, so that's kind of my issue with cream products in general. I feel like I usually have to set them just to keep them from moving throughout the day, but I love this formula. It looks so pretty, so dewy. It almost gives you like that glass skin effect with a blush. They have a bunch of beautiful colors. They're super pigmented, very luminous. I'll swatch, like I said, 2 of my favorites. I do tend to reach for the 2 more neutral tone shades overall, but they have a really gorgeous intense berry, a really soft bubblegum pink. So if you're kind of curious about liquid blushes, this is a good formula to start with. Because it is more of a gel cream, I find that it's a little bit easier to work with. It blends out very easily. Sometimes with cream blushes, when you apply it to the cheeks, it kind of stays in that spot and it's hard to blend out. That's not the case with these. A little bit goes such a long way. I'll usually just squeeze them on the back of my hand and then either take my fingers and tap it in or use a damp beauty sponge and blend it on my skin that way. But I love these so much. They do give your skin such a gorgeous, natural glow. The Tower 28 Beach Please blushes are really pretty on the skin, and these are very, very long lasting. If you have trouble with your cream blush wearing off by the end of the day, this is the formula to try because these stay in place and they do not move. And again, they just give your skin that luminous look that only a cream blush can give. There are differences between powders and creams, and even though there are so many good glowy powder blushes, I feel like it can't quite replicate the look of a cream. There's just something so pretty about it. So if you do like more of that dewy, wet look, this is a good formula to try. These aren't quite as glowy as the Flower Beauty blushes, but they are very, very long lasting. And I find that I don't necessarily have to set these into place like I do with the Flower Beauty blushes. So that's why I really like this formula. I mean, even in the pan, you can see it just reflects the light in a really pretty way. One formula that I've really come to appreciate over the last few years is the ColourPop Super Shock blush formula. So these have been around for a while, but I do feel like over the last year or two, ColourPop has really stepped it up and they've had a really good color selection with their blushes. They have lighter, softer shades, really intense, vibrant shades, and they haven't been discontinuing them as much. So I just went on the ColourPop website the other day and they had a really great selection of Super Shock blushes. You guys, these look so good and smooth on the skin. Again, if you deal with a lot of texture on your cheeks and you don't want a blush or a glowy blush that's going to enhance that, kind of similar to the Melt Cosmetics blush, this just makes your skin look very smooth. And they do have a couple of different finishes. They do matte blushes. I don't like the matte blushes. I really like the pearlized blushes because these have such a pretty sheen to them. And as you apply them to the skin, they just kind of melt into the skin in such a nice way. This formula is perfect if you are intimidated by cream blushes because it's kind of like a cream powder hybrid. You can totally wear this over powder and it doesn't look heavy or cakey. A lot of you guys have asked me how I like to apply these. You can use your fingers, but I like to either use a damp beauty sponge or I'll just take like a or not a stippling brush, like a contour brush. I'll link some of my favorites in the description box below, and I'll just gently kind of tap it all over my cheeks, and they look so pretty. And again, they have really vibrant colors, and they also have lighter, softer colors too. Let me finish up with a few baked formulas. One of the best powder blush formulas out there if you're looking for a natural glow is this one from Milani. This is just their baked powder formula. They have a lot of good blushes in general. I should have mentioned their cream blushes when I was talking about creams, but I love this formula because it's very soft, really natural. It's kind of hard to go overboard with these, although they do have some brighter shades, some deeper shades as well. But for me, I tend to choose like the lighter, softer shades because they just look really pretty and soft on the skin. They don't look too intense. And like I said, there are times where I'm not really into blush. I don't really want it to be like a focal point of my makeup. And when that's the case, I love to use these because they are so soft. I feel like you can get a pretty intense glow out of these, but a natural glow. These are going to give your cheeks like that almost like radiating from within type of look, and they're just so pretty on the skin. They remind me of Hourglass. I wouldn't say the formula is the exact same, but they give a very similar effect. So if you like Hourglass, but you don't want to spend that money, then definitely check out the Milani blushes if you haven't already. I feel like sometimes baked formulas, they get a, what am I trying to say? People tend to avoid them because they think they're going to be dry, and they are a little bit more dry than creams, obviously, but I think overall they do look really pretty and soft on the skin. So I love this formula from Milani. I also really like this formula from M Cosmetics. It is the Heaven's Glow Radiant Veil Blush, and I have the shade Faded Clementine. I'm kind of surprised that they market these as blushes, but I only have one shade, so the other shades might have more pigment. This is very, very soft, but it is so pretty on the skin. I tend to use it as more of a blush topper. If I have a blush that's not really glowy, I'll layer this on top because it gives such an intense radiant finish. There are days where I'll use this as a blush as well. I might apply bronzer, skip blush if I don't want to add too much color, and then just go in with this, especially during the spring and the summer, and you just get the most gorgeous radiant finish. I definitely want to try more of these. I think that it is a really pretty formula, and if you do like an intense glow, this is a great option because you can really layer this up, and because it is a baked formula, it doesn't feel like you're adding a ton of product, but you can get an intense radiant finish. I don't know how many times I've said radiant, luminous, and glowy in this video, probably a lot, but I don't know how else to describe these. This really is such a gorgeous formula, so I definitely recommend checking that out. I actually don't think this is a baked formula, but for some reason I put it in the baked category because I guess when I use this, it kind of reminds me of a baked formula, but it probably is more of a traditional powder blush. This is from Catrice. It is their Blush Box Glowing Multicolor. These are actually such good dupes to two Hourglass blushes that I have in my collection. I did a TikTok on them, so if you guys want to check out like the side-by-side swatches, I'll link that TikTok below. But trust me, this formula is really, really similar. These give your skin a very pretty glow because you know, when you look at them, they don't look super glowy, but they have different colors mixed in, just like the Hourglass ones do. So on the skin, you get really pretty color and then also like a soft, natural glow. So these are really pretty on days where you don't want anything too intense or over the top. I wish they had more shades. They only have two. These have been out for a little while, so I don't know that they're actually going to release more, but it would be amazing if they did because, again, these are a really good alternative to Hourglass as well. Okay, that's everything I wanted to share with you guys in today's video. Those are all of my favorite glowy blushes. I hope today's video was helpful for you guys. Please let me know in the comment section below what your favorite glowy blushes are so I can check them out and add them to my list. And I'll see you guys very soon with a new video. Bye.